The uncomfortable conversations that you don't have will almost certainly become the unspoken resentments that fester. And what many people fail to realize is this avoidance will simply just compound the problem and resentment will grow in this space. You'll see this play out in almost every type of relationship dynamic that you'll be in. Romantic relationships, family relationships, friendships, even working relationships. And in the workplace, this is what drives a huge amount of burnout. Now, irrespective of the connection, we need to remember that resentment doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It grows in the space between an unmet need and the silence about that. So there's often two types of drivers behind this type of resentment that can build. Firstly, we may be dealing with people who are conflict avoidant and who may have an element of people pleasing. And then on the other side of the coin, but you can have this happening at the same time, is you may be dealing with someone who is highly emotionally volatile. They cannot take constructive feedback. Everything may offend them. So they just enter into dysregulation really easily. So if we're dealing with someone like that, then people may avoid raising issues so as to not set them off. And then over time, the person who may be trying to raise a concern, be it you're trying to raise a concern with your partner, a friend, a family member, a co-worker, an employee, any of the above, you may be afraid or hesitant to raise a concern because you don't want to deal with the subsequent explosion of emotion that you may be faced with. Now, what this does, irrespective of the relationship dynamic, it essentially just creates a pressure cooker. And every unspoken problem or unmet need just adds more and more fuel to this fire that is bubbling away under the surface. And over time, there is just more and more distance between the two or multiple people that might be involved in this dynamic. And the bigger the space, the harder it is to overcome. And you can become a lot more leaning into that us versus them mentality, where a lot of the times it's easy to forget, especially in romantic relationships, that it's not me versus you, it's us versus the problem. But when there is this unspoken need, unmet expectations in this resentment bubbling away under the surface, that is when we can start to change our mindset and we're starting to look at things, me versus you, us versus them. So we need to remember a couple of things. We can't avoid discomfort and still expect vulnerability and closeness. And we can't abandon our needs and still expect connection. And we can't stay silent about unhealthy or potentially harmful behavior and expect the behavior to change in the absence of any input. So unfortunately, the consequence of staying silent, it allows bad behavior or unhealthy relationship dynamics to persist and perpetuate and continue to fester. Resentment will 100% grow in this space. So I can promise you, in avoiding discomfort now, you are literally kicking the can down the road and it is making a bigger, more uncomfortable problem that at some point you will likely have to face.